Did you know that there are regional offices of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, most likely close or in your area? And we have one of our guests today is Molly Kocialski. She is the regional director of the Rocky Mountain office for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Welcome, Molly.
Thanks, Brian. How are you?
Doing great. It's so interesting to discover all the resources that are available from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office headquarters. And here we are with a regional office, Rocky Mountain area of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So Molly, thank you for joining us. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself first to start.
Oh my goodness. Where do we start? You and I just had a conversation about Ellis Island. That's where my family came through. But no, grew up a little bit all over. My dad was in the Air Force and then he worked for Westinghouse. So we moved a little bit when I was young, but graduated from high school and my undergrad in New Mexico. But my mom and dad's family had all settled in Buffalo. So when it came time to go to law school, I needed a cheap place to live. So I moved back in with my parents and went to the State University of New York at Buffalo Law School. Graduated from there, became a New York lawyer with all that entails. And then my ex's job moved us out to Denver in 2000, and we've been here ever since. So I've been an intellectual property attorney, a registered patent attorney, as my son likes to say, since the early 1900s, or the late 1900s, I think is how he phrases it, but whatever, it makes me feel old. And so, yeah, so I've been out here. I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I was a jack of all trades. I did patent prosecution, but I also did litigation, trade secrets, copyrights, trademarks, both sides of the house. And then when I got tired of the billable hour, I went in-house, and I worked for 3 different Fortune 200 companies as in-house intellectual property counsel. So the last one that I worked for was Oracle before I came over to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The Denver IP community is small but mighty, I like to say. So I was part of the team that brought the office here. There was a huge team of people that worked to do that. And I will actually, if you want to show the screen. Yeah, so this is where we are in Denver, Colorado. This is the Byron Rogers Federal Building. We are on the 14th and 15th floor, so we're like up there a little bit. And we opened up on June 30th, 2014. Although we did have a move-in day, I always like to show these pictures of some of our judges as they moved from the Lakewood Federal Center, where they were in the bunker prior to us standing up and completing construction of the office.
Very nice. So Molly, the Rocky Mountain Regional Office of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So there's an office in Alexandria, Virginia, which is the headquarters. So correct. Rocky Mountain region, what states do they cover?
So we actually cover, I like to put it this way, we cover North Dakota down to Kansas, over to Utah, up to Idaho, and everything in between. It's a lot of land mass right now. And I get out into all of that land mass on a regular basis. But we cover those areas from an employee engagement perspective, and then also from an outreach and education perspective.
Okay.
And that is the role of the office, is to make sure that anyone who needs intellectual property information has the ability to access that information in some way, shape, or form. The way that I like to refer to it is that we meet people in their intellectual property journey with the information that they need when they need it.
Understood. So yeah. We have the option of going to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office headquarters. We can go there in person in Alexandria, Virginia. We can take a look at their website, your USPTO.gov website. But when we want some extra attention, there are regional offices set up for us to be able to help us and to provide us resources and also events and other types of opportunities that are available for us as inventors, entrepreneurs. And let's continue and talk about what is actually going on in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, but also in your office.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I like to say that we mirror and amplify, right? We're the last mile to inventors, entrepreneurs, and small businesses. For much of the USPTO's history, right? If you wanted to do business or learn about intellectual property, you had to go to Alexandria, or DC, or within viewing distance of DC. With the American Invents Act, right, Detroit was already underway, and got its name. The Elijah J. McCoy Midwest Regional Office is actually named in the America Invents Act. And then the American Invents Act also said, hey, maybe you think about opening up more offices. And then, of course, with the Unleashing America Invents Act that was just passed, I want to say 2 years ago, we're adding an additional regional office in Atlanta. I believe it'll be open in December of 2025. So all of the pages that I'm about to show you on our website are going to change as soon as we bring Atlanta on board, which we're really excited about. But really it's about being part of the community. It's about, it's all about access, so that people who are part of our communities can access someone from the intellectual property realm, get their information, they can access the USPTO, and hopefully we change kind of the reputation, right, of we're not this monolithic, agency that you can't access and that you can't have a friendly face to discuss intellectual property with. We're right here in your community, and that's really important. So if you're starting out, right, I always tell people, don't believe everything you read on the internet about intellectual property, unless it comes from www.uspto.gov, which is what you're seeing on your screen right now.
And that's where, Molly, many people, they're coming up with this idea and they don't necessarily know where to go. Hopefully, they land on USPTO.gov's website, which is the official website of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, to be able to get the information that they need. And what's great is that this has really transformed over the years since I first started as an inventor. But everybody who is coming up with an idea, whether they're working on some intellectual property, whether it's patents and trademarks, this is the place to start. And what Molly's showing us here on this homepage, look at how easy it is. The first thing that you see are all these shortcuts to be able to provide you information. Look, it may not give you everything that you need, especially for us. Like, we have patent attorneys, we have patent agents out there, trademark attorneys, but to give us the basics. So when we're talking to somebody, at least we have a background and understanding of what we're getting ourselves into, and to be able to have a better conversation.
Absolutely, right. And that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office's resources don't obviate the need for attorney services, because we do not and will not provide you with advice. We will provide you with education and information that you might want to consider, but ultimately, right, when you as either a business owner or an inventor or whatever you're going to be, you get to decide what intellectual property works for you, right? And so a lot of times, though, the biggest mistake that I see people make, especially if they're thinking about forming a business around their invention, is that they miss some of the intellectual property that is associated with how they're going to monetize that invention, right? So one of the things that we've done, and you can see right here in this new to intellectual property section, there we go. This identify what kind of IP you have. We created an IP identifier tool for people, and they all you have to do is click on this, and it'll ask you, kind of like, where do I start? What does this look like? Maybe you don't know what the basic forms of IP are, so we have classes that will help you do that and identify those things. Maybe you're ready, like you need a trademark, so we have trademark boot camps. All of our free services are here. We did try and put all of the inventor and entrepreneur resources in one place. So here's the get started. Here's what you need to know before you apply. Here's how to get help when you decide to apply. What does it look like once you apply for your rights, after you apply for a patent or trademark application, and then appeal or fix an issue. We have startup resources here. We tell you how to change who the owner of a patent or a trademark is. We also have links to other federal resources because we recognize, that funding is a huge issue for people who are trying to get off the ground. So we have links to the Small Business Administration, as well as some other of the other federal government agencies that actually do give out money and grants on those kinds of things. And then, one of the things that we know is that when you become a patent or trademark owner, it is a public issue. And there are claims, scams, and companies that are offering services that aren't really associated with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, or they're trying to scam you into giving them money. So we've published all of the known patent and trademark scams that we are aware of there. But there's always lots going on in the background from that perspective. But I love this Inventor and Entrepreneur Resources page because this is really kind of that one-stop shop for someone who's getting started.
It looks like it. It looks like a great resource, and that's easily accessible from the homepage. You can find it in one of those shortcuts.
It's right there.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Molly, we have this at our fingertips, which is fantastic in the digital world. But now maybe we want to speak to somebody in our region. Maybe we want to meet somebody face to face without having to go to Alexandria. Tell us what the advantages are and tell us more about your office.
So one of the advantages of having an office in your community is really that ability to, have those face-to-face conversations. We do a lot of one-to-one consultations with startups, inventors, entrepreneurs to help them get started. You get to ask your questions, in a more private manner. All of the people that work for the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office are not allowed to have an interest in a patent or apply for intellectual property rights in front of the office. That's a conflict of interest. So you can treat your conversation with us as confidential. And we won't sign non-disclosure agreements, but we don't share with anybody unless you give us permission to do that.
Okay.
And then, you can meet us in any of the training and education events that we have. That's also available right there from that website. And if you just want to go down, for example, if you want to meet me, I'll actually be in Nebraska next week. I'll be in Salt Lake City on the 25th. So you can look at some of these things. We do have a lot of virtual things. But in Columbus, Ohio, there's a one-day patents boot camp and a one-day trademarks boot camp. Those are both going to be going on in connection with our Midwest office. We definitely, and then if you look on October 1st, my colleague Liz Doherty is going to be in Princess Anne, Maryland. We try and put everything on the event site so that everybody knows what's going on. You can do that. But if you want to have a one-to-one consultation, honestly, go to USPTO in your region. Here's all of our locations. You can I'll select the Rocky Mountain office because it's my favorite.
And I like also on the top, when you click on here, it shows you the states. I think when you click on your region, and then you click on Rocky Mountain link there, the next page, it comes up, it gives you you have the highlights on the states, but when you get to your page also, you can see all the states that are listed on top.
And these are all of the patent and trademark resource centers that are in the area. Our patent and trademark resource centers they have free services for patent searching, for trademark searching. They're all staffed by librarians that get extra training from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office in order to help the public. They won't do the searching for you, right? That's still your responsibility, but they can help you design a search and maybe help you look in places that you didn't think about looking before.
Okay.
So they host classes as well. We work with our PTRCs whenever we're in the region, and we host classes with them quite a bit.
Okay, so the PTRCs are the Patent and Trademark Resource Centers that are in this Rocky Mountain Regional Office area. For those of you who are watching, because you're in this area, you'll see as Molly navigated us to this page. So you could see those PTRC offices, but your office, Molly, we can click on and get right there. Excellent.
Yep.
So we click on there, and here we are. Now we're on your dedicated page to your regional office.
Correct. And all of the regional offices have these dedicated pages as well. It again shows you a picture of our building so you can, kind of identify. In any of these drop downs, it says, hey, here's how you get us. If you want me to attend an upcoming event or anyone on my team, you just request a speaker at your event. All of the regional offices have patent trial and appeal board members, and we also have hearings. So if you want to attend a hearing, you can go to the hearing schedule page that's right here, and you can see a patent trial and appeal board hearing live sometimes. So whenever we do live ones, but it's really amazing. I always love going to see these hearings because they're really, really good. Then you can schedule a one-on-one consultation if that's something that you really want to do. You can search for patent and trademarks. You can come to the office and do that if you want. You can use our space if you're a member of the public. We actually have some spaces that are intended for public use. So if you have an inventor organization meeting or something like that you want to use our offices to do, that's fantastic. We love hosting people and having you here. And then this is a little bit about me. My assistant regional director, David Lay, he's on a detail assignment right now, but he'll be back in the swing of things. And then my regional outreach officer, I like to call her the spoke in our wheel because she directs everything, including me. So if you want the person behind the curtain, you definitely want to talk to Julie Reavers. And so that's kind of our office. And then I'd like to talk about a little bit some of the other resources that people may not be aware of that are not new, but I think expanded and amplified over the last several years.
Okay. So Molly, let me understand so the audience can follow us. We have USPTO.gov website, which is the headquarters and all the information that is available from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And you have your regional office in the Rocky Mountain area in the region. Tell us what we can do and what kind of questions, and when inventors come to your office, what do they usually do when they're there?
Oh my gosh. We usually go out to people too. So I'll talk about intellectual property with people all day, every day, including sometimes to my son's chagrin, talking about the intellectual property that's associated with payment terminals while I'm doing my grocery shopping. So I love intellectual property. And I love pointing out to people that it surrounds you all day, every day. You interact with intellectual property virtually every minute of every single day. Whether you're brushing your teeth and you have a particular toothpaste brand that you like, or whether you're, connecting like this over the internet, and perhaps using voice over IP protocol that was invented by Marion Broad. right? Or Marion Croak. There's so many different things that we interact with that we don't recognize as intellectual property. So a lot of the times what we're doing is we're raising awareness about what intellectual property is, how it surrounds it, and how people interact with it, whether or not they realize that they're interacting with it. Sometimes it's teaching people about IP because they're in the process of saying, hey, I think I have an idea and I need to protect it somehow. So, one of the conversations I even had yesterday when I was in New Mexico for the Arrowhead Startup Summit, it was all about the entrepreneur was talking about his business, and he's like, well, I think I need a patent. And I'm like, maybe, right? Like maybe we think about some of the other things that might give you the bang for your buck that you might not be aware of.
Understood. So
yeah.
what about when people come to you and they say, Molly or Julie or any of your colleagues, what do you think about my invention?
I will tell you that I am the worst predictor of commercial success on the planet. I love technology for technology's sake. So I will never tell you that you need a patent. I will never tell you that you don't. Because again, at least from the USPTO's perspective, those are individual business decisions that are made by the business or by the intellectual property owner. So we'll leave that up to you. Now, can we discuss the merits of a utility patent versus a design patent, perhaps versus a 3D trademark for, a consumer good that might be sold somewhere? Absolutely. We can have that discussion all day, every day. But I'll never tell you, and don't ask, because I'll just tell you, I'm not the person who has to do it.
Right.
Right. That needs to be the business owner. So, even when I was a lawyer, I would look at my business people and they'd be like, well, what would you do? And I'm like, I don't make the money that you do. They pay me as a lawyer. I just give you advice.
You're here to protect us. At the same time, you're in a position where you're guiding and navigating us through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and offering the resources available. Now, the PTRC, that Patent and Trademark Resource Center, is also great. I've had several colleagues from that office on National Inventor Club, and they will help you to do patent searches. They'll explain to you how to do the patent search, how to pull the class that you're in to be able to compare what your idea is versus what's already out there. But again, they're not there to give you their opinion, feedback, and advice. They're there to navigate you through the tools and resources available. Is that right, Molly?
Absolutely. And any person who is involved in outreach and education on behalf of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is very aware of that bright line. We don't give you advice. We will help guide you, and we will give you things to consider. And for a lot of the regional directors, we've kind of been through it all. 3 out of the 4 of us have been in-house counsel. We've seen a lot, and we've also seen it make a difference in the success or failure of businesses. So, we don't hesitate to answer a question. It's just not advice.
Got it. But there's the advantages of having a local office of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office in your region, and when you need to make a connection, it's closer than maybe Alexandria, Virginia.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then one of the things that I think people really don't understand necessarily is just the breadth of information. So at the end of September, we're putting on a China IP Roadshow where one of our Chinese IP attaches is coming to Salt Lake City. And that's, protecting your rights abroad. Finding a patent practitioner, if you want to know if somebody's a registered patent practitioner, and I always recommend that you do your own due diligence on your patent attorneys, you can go to this section of finding a patent practitioner and it'll get you right to where you need to be. Our agents are amazing. and they do a fantastic job for clients, sometimes on a cost-friendly basis. But we also have a number of pilot programs. We have a number of like self-guided learning things that you can do. And then we have ways for you to get legal assistance that are at reduced costs as well. So
now I know you were practicing law, but it looks like you really love what you do.
I do. You know what? I always tell people it was the luckiest day of my life when I fell into patent law and I fell in love with it. I was working as an engineer, as you do, because every patent practitioner is an engineer or hard scientist first. And there was an older gentleman in my group who just did not have any use for the flighty new engineer that was in his group. And it turned out we were the only two people in the trailer the day that he got a patent. And I watched this guy because I asked him what he got his patent for. And I watched this guy that was very taciturn, very stoic, just an old school engineer. He was a good old school engineer. Great guy. And I asked him what he got his patent on. And he turned into this amazing, like, teacher, professor, butterfly. We had the best conversation and it established like a really solid friendship after that too. So I got to see the power that it makes in each individual inventor's lives. And I don't care if you start a multi-million-dollar business off of the back of your IP, or if you are an independent inventor and you have patents just because you love inventing and you love creating. I've never met anyone who doesn't love their idea like a baby. I mean, really. Like
That's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I have 15 patents and I have a few pending. But people ask me, which one is your favorite one? I'm like, they're all my babies.
They're all your babies.
I can't say that.
Know.
Right.
And I always tell people, like, the days that were the hardest as a patent attorney were the days when I had to tell someone that their baby was ugly, meaning that someone else had done it before them, or that they weren't actually the daddy or mommy of that baby. Those were the hard days. But one of the things that the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office recognizes is that applying for a patent is an expensive proposition. Even our legal fees, although they are a very small proportion of what it takes to get a patent application on file, we recognize that there's a lot into that, which is one of the reasons why you see small entity and micro entity fees that we've implemented over the last 8 years. But the other one that I think that we've focused a lot on is this patent pro bono program. And this is where you can get matched with a patent attorney who will write your patent application or do a search for you or have conversations with you free of charge. And they are really, really fantastic. Your gross household income has to be less than 3 times the poverty level. You have to demonstrate that you understand the patent system. So one of the classes that my office teaches, along with the Western office, and I think the other regional offices are going to come back on board with it, is what we call a path to a patent. It's an 8-week series that takes you from writing the patent application, doing a prior art search, navigating the business center, all the way to, kind of like, okay, now your application is on file. Our trademark boot camps are amazing. There's no trademark pro bono program, but we'll talk about one of the things that we do with respect to trademarks in just a minute. But it's a fantastic program, honestly. And the one that covers most of my region is ProboPat, run by me, CASA Resource Center here. We've had some real amazing success stories. ProboPat was actually the second pro bono program in the nation. It started up in 2012. Even before the regional office. So it's really, I think, a fantastic program. You are representing yourself, which we recognize that some people have to do. We do have a pro se assistance program. And again, I think here, especially your regional office is going to be really important in helping you do some of the things that you need to do. And we're here to, walk you through that and hold your hand as you walk through some of those things. I like our law school clinic programs as well. When I went to law school, as my son says, in the late 1900s, right? There weren't that many clinic programs, and there certainly weren't any that were associated with intellectual property. So I love these law school clinic programs because you get the help of a law student for free, guided by a practicing attorney in patents and or trademarks, depending on which law school clinic you are. So the law student gets practical experience, the inventor or small business gets help, and the world is a better place, I think. So I really enjoy our law school clinics. And here's a listing of all of the law school clinics that we have across the nation. There's quite a few of them.
And we can find one in our area.
Absolutely. I'm going to put the map right there.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that's really fantastic. We've done a couple of other things too. And one that I really want to advertise for your members in particular is a new program called the Patent Trial and Appeal Board Pro Bono Program. I think it's a great start. You do have to be a solo inventor. Here are all of the requirements, right? That for you to qualify to get help with a patent trial and appeal board, usually an ex parte appeal, right? I think it is only ex parte appeals right now, but they intend to move it up to AIA proceedings as well.
Okay, so let's say we file and we get objections, let's say, to our patent that might be challenging to overcome. And we feel like we might need another set of eyes to look over them. We have the resources from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office where they offer free help to navigate us through going through that process.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah. I think one of the things that the Patent Trial and Appeal Board has done a fantastic job of, when I first started at the agency almost 9 years ago, the wait times for ex parte appeals made it out of reach for some people, just because, the technology was moving too fast, or they needed to get, to the market quicker, something along those lines. So people hesitated to appeal. Now, you can really get through the Patent Trial and Appeal Board ex parte appeal process in sometimes less than 12 months, which is absolutely fantastic. If I were back out in practice, I think it would change the way I practiced. I would have appealed more I would appeal more than I did when I was practicing.
Okay.
And
so we have the U.S.
program.
Right. We have the pro bono program, which can provide us free help with navigating through the filings. They actually can help with the filings, not the filing fees, but the filing preparation. And then it's submitted to an examiner. They end up coming back, and most likely there may be some objections that you have to overcome. And you give it a shot, and I think it's 1 or 2 shots, and then you have the option, and again, if you qualify, to be able to have the USPTO resources like this PTAB, Patent Trial and Appeal Board Pro Bono Program for independent inventors. So all these resources are available to the independent inventor on USPTO.gov. Molly's showing us and navigating us through the website. And at any point you missed, or we went too fast for some reason, the great thing is that you're listening to this recording, so you can go back and pause it and be able to get what you need.
And you can always call us up too.
You can always call Molly up, even if we're not in the region, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We're agnostic.
Great.
but now I think is where this is almost starting to feel like one of those Shamu commercials, those infomercials right now, because, but wait, there's more.
Tell me.
So one of the things under Director Vidal's leadership is this first-time filer expedited examination pilot program. So as many people know who have done business with the agency, we will sometimes do pilot programs to expedite the examination process, right? Typically, the examination of a patent application is it's not an insubstantial process, right? Our goal is to get you a first office action by 14 months, and then no more than 36 months to what we call final disposition, which is either allowance or abandonment of the application. The expedited examination pilot programs are a way to shortcut that. So we guarantee you that you will have a final disposition within 1 year of the date of the petition being granted.
Okay.
And most times we're under that. We're like closer to 6 to 8 months.
Okay. Look, for us, just starting off with an idea, this might be overwhelming, but to know that we have the support to be able to call to navigate us through and know our options and what to do and what not to do as far as the direction of where to go and how to protect us, it seems like there's plenty of available support from your office.
Absolutely. And then one of our, again, but wait, there's more. One of our favorite things to do is with the kids and opening up their eyes and educating them about intellectual property. So, right, like I knew that the Statute of Liberty was patented, but I didn't know it was in 1879. So even I learned something during this webinar.
I just did too.
I know, right? So one of the things that we do is we really try and equip parents, teachers, and students with the ability to learn about intellectual property with stories at their level, and teaching people the history of innovation and all of those kinds of things. So for adults, we have our Journeys of Innovation page, which you saw. If we go, let me go back to let's see. So right, this is a Journeys of Innovation page that's featuring Katia Pinedo, who is championing invention education now. But right, she did something a whole lot more, and you can read all about her heart soul intervention, or invention and intervention, I should say. So yeah, we try and feature some really amazing inventors in this Journeys of Innovation, whether it's, you know, someone who started out at Bell Labs as the first African-American woman like Dr. Marion Croak, or whether it's, you know, Gitanjali Rao, who was Times Kid of the Year in 2020. And she invented a lead detection device for water that's portable after being inspired by the Flint, Michigan lead crisis. Right. Nice. So it's all about like, okay, how do you become an inventor, and who becomes an inventor? And we want to make sure that everybody knows that anybody can be an inventor, except nice. Patent and Trademark Office employees. Anyway, so
Molly, there's also an area for us to keep updated with USPTO activity, right? There's a place where we can put our email address.
Oh, absolutely. When you go to USPTO in your region, you can sign up for the headquarters. There's a little, oh, it's not, why is it not
Actually,
there?
It's all the way on the bottom. If you scroll down, I think it's
all the way down?
Pretty much on every page.
Oh, right here.
Yep.
So if you'd like to receive updates from the USPTO, like headquarters, that would be all of our updates. You can subscribe here. If you only want to receive updates from a regional office, like, you know, that might be in your region, if you go to our individual pages, it will tell you that you can subscribe there. Right here.
Excellent.
And then that way you can keep up to date with where we're going to be.
And on this page, we have Meet the Leadership Team. So there's you and your colleagues on there, and Julie's on there.
Yep.
We can email you. Do we
Absolutely.
call? How do we get connected with you and your team?
Right here. So it says visit us. This is definitely our address and our contact information. You can email Rocky Mountain at uspto.gov. This is the direct line that will have someone answer, and we'll get things set up for you. We do request, if you want a one-on-one consultation, as you might be recognizing, I'm out a lot in the region. So I don't want to have a conversation with you about your invention when I'm in an airport or something like that, or distracted. So I really want to give you the attention that you deserve. So we do ask sometimes that, you make an appointment, but we have those conversations all the time. Whether it's, as a sidebar at a conference that we might be at and you happen to be there as well. But yeah.
So guiding us through what type of IP, intellectual property, that we should consider.
Yep.
What the steps are to kind of go through as much as you can until we may or may not need a patent attorney or agent. But you showed us that there are classes that can actually navigate you and teach you how to file your own patent. And then there's also the patent and trademark resource centers that you can also find in your areas to help, especially in the beginning, to do a patent search. And those offices usually are in a public library, and you schedule an appointment with one of the PTRC members. They have been trained by the USPTO, as far as I am familiar with it. And it's almost like a satellite office of the USPTO in your area, in a library somewhere. And these resources are free and available for us as inventors and business owners, whether it's patents or trademarks.
Right.
These resources are available for us, and the tools as well, especially with that IP assessment tool that you showed us in the beginning.
And I think that one's really fantastic too.
Absolutely. So Molly, you've been working with inventors, it sounds like. I know in patent law for quite some time, but you've been working with inventors and entrepreneurs and startups. You've been hearing many stories and watching people, whether they're successful or maybe not so successful. Maybe they'll work on their next idea. But what are some words of wisdom from you? Whether we're just starting off, we're somewhere along the way, maybe we're on our second or third patent, or maybe we're just starting off. Give us some words of advice, Molly, before we end today.
And the best advice that I can give to anybody, and it's advice I give even to my own kid, like, don't hesitate to ask for help. Find the resource that you need and don't hesitate to ask for help. That's why we're here. I love hearing people's stories. I love cheerleading people as they go on their way. I've met... There's no inventor that I've ever met that isn't just amazing, because I don't have that. Even as an engineer, like, I did not have that creativity at all. And so I'm always fascinated by the people who do have that creativity, and then have the heart to pursue it, that they live with that idea until they perfect it, and they really pursue it, hopefully build a business around it, all of those other kinds of good things that people who are creative can do. I'm just a really good spokesperson. So
you're in the right position as the regional director of the Rocky Mountain office of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. I started off somewhere in the middle to say, it sounds like you really love what you do, and you absolutely do. That's why they put you in that position. So we very much appreciate your help and support with your office and your colleagues that are in the office, and just even helping us, not necessarily in your office, but all the tools and resources and all the links and navigating through that USPTO.gov official website. Thank you so much, Molly. We hope to hear from you again very soon. Keep us updated on the events. We know that we can keep in touch with you by subscribing, whether it's from the full website and then in your regional office. And it seems like you keep your calendar quite updated and let the inventors and whoever's signing up know what's happening in the region.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Molly. We will keep in touch and we will see you again very soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that wraps up one of our regional offices of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. And you can keep an eye on the other ones as well. If they're not in the recorded sessions, you will be able to find them very soon. Thank you, and keep moving your ideas forward, knowing that you have the support from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon.